1, 2, the heroes falling, I'm still calling. Heroes falling, heroes falling, I'm still.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. As you know, I'm Amal. If you're new here, what's up? Welcome to my channel. This is a channel where I do a lot of talking, do a lot of vlogging, and a lot of things in between. So if you aren't subscribed, make sure to subscribe right now because I have a lot of really cool content coming. And you know what? You're already here, so might as well subscribe. It's that time of the year where in a normal timeline, we would all be going back to school. And by we, I mean not me personally, but we, like the collective we. September is always my favorite month because I always loved going back to school, whether it was high school or college. And I was just feeling a little bit nostalgic and was reminiscing about college. I think that the lessons I learned in college and truly just my experience in general really shaped who I've become. So I wanted to share with you a lot of the mistakes that I've made, a lot of the lessons that I've learned, and just things to do and to like not do, because really it's an expensive investment and you want to make the most out of it and you want to be as efficient as possible. So I'm going to share with you all the great tips and the mistakes that I've made, so hopefully you don't make them and you have an amazing 4 years or 3 or 2 or whatever. You know what? Whatever. Numbers don't really matter. Many of you have not gone back to school this year, or have been going to Zoom University, or have just kind of altered the way that you've gone to school in general. So right now in the comments, let me know how you've been affected in terms of schooling. Are you going back to school? Are you doing school online? Is nothing different for you? Do you have to wear masks all day in school? I hope you do. Let me know in the comments because I'm really curious, because I know that people internationally are doing things differently. So let me know. Make sure you watch to the very end so you can see all of the advice that I have and all the mistakes that I've honestly made so you won't make the same ones and we can learn and grow together. I went to UCSD a long time ago in the land of 2009. And before that, I applied to a number of schools. I was the type of person that was obsessed with the idea of college. One of my first pieces of advice is to make sure you do your research. Have a list of things that are important to you. Not your parents, not your friends, not your teachers, but things that are important to you. If you really care that they have a super good volleyball team because you want to do intramural volleyball, make sure to check that out. Make sure to do the research, and it's okay to prioritize that. I think one of the most important things about making your own decisions going to a college is to make your own priority list. A lot of people, especially your friends, your peers, will make you think that certain things are more important than others, but it's really a time to hone in on what you want. It's okay if you don't know what you want, but make sure you're at least giving yourself the space to find that out. Why listen to other people when you are the one that knows what you want the most and you are the one that's going to be going to the school for the next 4 years? If you're a person of color, especially if you're Black, that you research the types of support programs they have for students of color on campus, especially Black organizations. A huge part of feeling uncomfortable/comfortable at school comes with whether or not there are organizations on campus that support Black students or support students of color like you that are going to be going to schools. Unfortunately, a lot of these big institutions are very white spaces, and that comes with a lot of baggage. For my school at UCSD, we had a cross-cultural center, the CCC, shout out to CCC. That was a center that a lot of students of color gathered, had meetings, had food, had parties, and just hung out with students that made them feel comfortable, that understood their struggle. I know maybe some of you are gonna say, okay, only numbers, only stats, only rankings are really important, but those things are gonna be important in your day-to-day. College is so much more than like classes and the rank of the school. When you get down to it, you're gonna have to go to the school every single day for a long time. So make sure that they have those type of programs to make people like you feel comfortable, because honestly, if I didn't have those programs at my school, if I didn't have those organizations, those collectives, I would have been lost. I really would have been lost because I don't know what I would have done. Those organizations helped shape my experience as a young Black woman so much. Look at those programs, and I would even go a step further and connect with somebody at those programs before you actually go to the school. So reach out, whether it's like a Facebook group or Instagram, and say, hey, I'm coming into the school, you know, or I'm thinking about applying. Can you please tell me about the climate at your school, about students of color? So at least you'll have one friend and you'll know a little bit more about the school. So I know the quintessential college experience is really reliant on going away somewhere, far away maybe, dorming, living with other people, moving away from home, moving out of your parents' home. But that doesn't have to be the reality if you don't want it to be. I know that that's kind of the way it's painted in like media and movies and shows, that's kind of just the way to do college. But if that's not your reality, or if you have other responsibilities or you just don't want to, don't feel weird about that and don't feel stressed out about that. A lot of my friends I made in college commuted and they had an equally great time that I had. So if that's not your reality, I would say don't feel too bad about that, and don't feel like you have to pressure yourself to only apply to school way across the country just because you think that you have to have this experience. But on the flip side of that, if you feel like staying at home is really staying in your comfort zone and you think that it could do you some good to be pushed out of your comfort zone, why not move away from home? For me, dorming was one of the best experiences I've had, and then living in apartments with some of my friends, equally great too. Making friends is one of the most challenging parts of the social aspect of college, because honestly, for a lot of people, they come in and they don't know anybody. They don't know a single soul on campus, and that can be super intimidating. For me, I was a little bit lucky because I went to UCSD and I was from San Diego, so a lot of my friends from school, well, not a lot, but some of them went to school with me at UCSD. So I did have a little bit of like a comfort zone when it came to like the friend department, but I quickly realized that college was so much bigger than high school. One of the quickest ways that I made friends is I joined organizations. For me, I joined the Muslim Student Association, which was interesting. And I also joined the other students of color organizations on campus as well. In these organizations, you essentially have like built-in friends, because the first few weeks of school, there's a lot of tabling events where people go out and they try to get new members. So they actually literally are like, hey, join us and we'll be your friends. Well, not literally, but like basically making friends, you have to put yourself out there. For me, I think one mistake that I did make was that I relied so much on my high school friends at first, which, no offense, love them so much, but I essentially kind of convinced myself like that I didn't need new friends. I was like, oh, well, I know these people already and they're my friends, so why do I need new friends? So if that's the case for you, if you're coming in with like a set amount of friends, do not limit yourself to making more, because in college, you're just gonna grow as a person and you might outgrow your friends you came in with, but make sure you're putting yourself out there as much as you can so you can actually get more friends, get more experiences, and at the end of the day, learn and grow more as a person. Getting involved in different organizations really is one of the most important things you can do in college. If you've seen the movie or the show, Dear White People, and you kind of see the whole premise of like the blackface party, the frats were having, yeah, that was basically based on my school in my freshman year. We had an incident that happened, and essentially the rest of my first year, and really essentially the rest of my college experience, was organizing against racist organizations, organizing to have the university recognize students of color, give more funding to our programs, and so on and so forth. I remember my mom even at one point was like, do you even like go to class, or you just go to protest? And honestly, that essentially was the main reason that I think college was a life-changing experience for me. If I wasn't in those organizations, if I wasn't in those spaces, I wouldn't have met the friends that I made, I wouldn't have learned what I learned, I wouldn't have felt as connected as I did to my community. So one huge thing, get involved in something. It doesn't have to be something super radical. It can literally be something very, very specific or niche, but make sure that your goal is that you can change your university so that one person that comes after you has an easier time, whatever that is for you. Even if it's, more bike lanes on campus. Whatever it is, make sure that you get involved, and it's also a great way to make friends, but also just making your college experience more worthwhile. One big tip that I have for those of you who are planning on going to grad school after college is, if you're applying for a program that doesn't specify what type of major you have to have, I would say pick a major that you can do really, really well at. Not saying to like slack off or anything, but if there is a major that you feel like you can do really well at, super excel at, and get very, very good grades, I would say pick that. Because for me, I made a mistake in that I was a double major, which I don't regret, but I did international studies, which I was like kind of interested in and like honestly, there was just a lot of work and there was a language requirement which like brought down my GPA. If I would have done ethnic studies, it would have been, I think, a lot better option for me because I was so interested in it and I was really good at it. So I think I would have been able to get like a higher overall GPA. So if that's your situation and you are applying to grad school that doesn't require a specific type of major, do something you can like really kill it and you can get a high GPA, and then you can really kind of get your choice of master's programs or PhD programs, and then you can really specify in what you want to learn after that. Internships are a great way to test the waters to make sure you actually like a career before you have to actually commit to it a few years down the line. I did internship as much as possible, but I did not learn from them. This was a huge mistake that I made. Every time I got an internship, whether it was volunteering at a law firm or I was working for a campaign, whatever it was, I would do it, I would immediately dislike it, and I would say, well, what can you do? Like, I never really reflected on the fact that I was not liking these internships. For some reason, I just thought, oh, okay, well, I just don't like the internship, but like the career would be better. And honestly, that's not the case. I'm not talking about like if you have like a really bad boss or like you don't like people you work with, but if you really don't like the work, you probably won't like actually being in the career path either. Sorry to break it to you. For me, I literally had an internship at a law firm where one of the lawyers called me in and was like, do not do this. Do not become a lawyer. It's not what you think it is. Do not do it. And I still did not listen. Make sure you're actually using these internships as like a real testing ground. I just honestly used it as resume builders. I didn't really think about it as like, okay, girl, you're doing this thing. If you don't like it, you probably won't like actually doing this for a living either. I wasn't thinking about it that way. So if you have an opportunity to do internships, make sure you're doing them not only to boost and build your resume, but as a test run. You're so young and you have so much life ahead of you. It's okay to change your mind. It's okay to like go into a major, take an internship or do something and just say, hey, this isn't for me, and to change what you were thinking about before, because it would save you a lot of time and money in the long run if you listen to yourself and you change your mind as early as possible. Make sure to do those when you have an internship. Ugh, my leg is falling asleep, y'all. Ow, 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 ow. I never got the balance right of living in the moment versus planning for the future. I have to say that when I was in college, it was like the most in the moment I've ever been in my life. Every moment I was just having the time of my life. I really was. I never for a second thought about life after college. I'm really not exaggerating. And I always had friends who were like planning for the future and like always only in the library, stressing about med school, stressing about jobs afterward. And obviously people's realities are very different, but I think that I never regretted going out with my friends and having a good time. I never regretted going to the organizational meetings that I was a part of. I never regretted all the things that helped me shape my perfect college experience. But I wish I just sat down and like planned a little more. I never did that. If you have the chance to just think every single, maybe week or every single like month about how your goals are aligning with your future, that would save you so much stress later on. The last thing I want to talk about is life after college. The after college slump is real, y'all. Like when I graduated college, I really was in a really low place. It hit me out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting it. Like I had a job, I moved away from home, but it just hit me that my friends weren't next door anymore. I was really sad about leaving the spaces that I called home for the last 4 years, and I didn't really process it. So it hit me really hard all of a sudden, and I felt so alone, so lost. I really just didn't know who I was. And maybe that sounds dramatic, but I tied so much of my like identity to my college experience unknowingly that when it was time to leave, I just had to have an identity crisis a little bit. I really think that's what it was looking back at it. I didn't have a career that I was super passionate about going into, so I felt like I just didn't want to do anything. I was trying my best to get into law school, but I was like, for what? Like, what's the point? If you take away one thing from this entire thing, is that there's not one box that you have to fit into to define your life. If you think about it and that box doesn't exist that fits your life and your personality, then create that box. And I think for me, that's what I struggled with so much after leaving college, is that there was nothing I wanted to do that defined me. Like, I couldn't think of it. And I had to just come to the realization that I just have to make it. I have to create my future in a way that is very unique to only me. And don't let anybody convince you that the thing that you want to do is just unrealistic, because they don't know it exists because you haven't created it yet. Okay, everybody, I know that was like a long video. I talked so much, but I think that truly college is a topic that I have so many opinions and advice about. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Please, in the comments below, let me know the biggest things that you learned in college or things that you wish you knew. Let's get a conversation going in the comments. Please make sure to subscribe, turn on your post notifications, and follow me on Instagram, because that's the place where I update you all about my daily life and like what I'm up to and like all that good stuff. Also, I got a new phone, so I will be posting more because my camera was broken and now it's not, so I can post all this space all the time. Thanks so much, guys. I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.